weeks from Friday, it is the opening day of the Saratoga racing season. I look out and see sunshine and nice weather, and we hope ditto for the entire Saratoga meet for sure. And Tim Wilkin, the guru of horse racing here in the Capital Region, will be all over this. I guess we can now call him columnist Tim Wilkin, who wrote a column yesterday and had a little Q&A with actually somebody that I've always held in high regard, and that is the now retired Brent Musburger. Good morning there, Tim. How are you?
Hey, Roger. Chris, how are you?
We're good, Timmy.
We're doing well, Timmy. We're doing well. So is this, can I call you the horse racing guru, but also a columnist Tim Wilkin?
You can call me whatever you want, Roger.
He always has.
No, we are going to be seeing you, though, in a more of a columnist role, right? And moving forward, outside of your horse racing, we are going to see more columns out of you than we would normally see.
Well, that's what the plan is, I guess. Once sometime in the fall, it's going to be a weekly column. I'll be working more on Sunday, longer feature stories, which we call takeouts in the business, and doing the Q&As like I've always done too. So I'll have enough stuff to keep me busy.
How was Brent Musburger, by the way, to talk to?
He was fine. I mean, he's not really retired either. He's working. He says he'll never retire. He's working out in Las Vegas. He's the managing editor and lead broadcaster of this gambling network out in Vegas that does a show 5 times a week on Sirius Radio. So he's always been a guy that likes to pluck a few bucks down on whatever is playing that day. So I think he's just wanted to keep his hand in it. And like when he told me, he said that he wasn't all melancholy when he had his final broadcast in Lexington, Kentucky at that basketball game between Kentucky and Georgia, because he knew he was going to be doing something else. And really, he went from that last game, he went right to Vegas, and he was, I believe he started doing that stuff within a week.
And what I didn't know until I read your Q&A with him is that he also did a little bit of horse racing and cover the Travers in the early 80s?
Yeah. He was, because CBS had, I believe CBS had the Belmont Stakes. It was, I don't know how they did it, but back then, but I think ABC had the first 2 legs and CBS had the Belmont, and CBS had the Travers for a couple of years, and he was up here. He said he was actually hosting the telecast a la what Jim McKay used to do for ABC.
Well,
he likes the ponies.
He does. Well, that's good. We all like the ponies, and in 3 weeks from Friday, here we go, Tim Wilkin, with another Saratoga meet, and you'll be front and center as always, and we will be too here on 104.5 at Team ESPN Radio. We'll be live there every Friday for the meet, and of course a lot of coverage over on News Channel 13. What do you expect some of the headlines to be as we gear up for another meet?
I think the biggest one, obviously, every year is the Travers, and this year, there's a real good chance that you'll get the 3 winners of the Triple Crown races all running in the Travers, in Always Dreaming and Cloud Computing from Chad Brown and Tappert, the other 2 are from Fletcher. I mean, it looks like, as of right now, it looks like Always Dreaming is going to prep for the Travers by running in the Jim Dandy, which surprised me a little bit because I thought that he would go to the Haskell, but it looks like Todd's going to send maybe Tappert to the Haskell, because he told me the day after the Belmont that he wanted to keep the 2 separated for as long as he can. And, he doesn't want, I don't think he wants to run both of them in the Jim Dandy. And he still has Patch, the One-Eyed Wonder, which I don't think he has any idea what he's going to do with him. I mean, he's still he's eligible for allowance condition races. But, I think that the 3-year-old division will be, as always, the most intriguing one of the Saratoga meet. And, you still got to figure, you got to figure what's Bob Baffert going to do this summer. He's got a heck of a lot of good horses out there in California. And he's told me at the Belmont, he said he's going to have a presence at Saratoga. Which horses those are going to be, who knows? I mean, he even floated the idea that the Great Arrogate could come to Saratoga and run in the Whitney. I I mean, originally it was planned that he was going to run in the San Diego Handicap at Del Mar on July the 19th, I think, or the 22nd, and then go to the Pacific Classic in August, both races at Del Mar, and that makes perfect sense because the Breeders' Cup is at Del Mar. I mean, why would he ship east when he can just get 2 races over that track? But Bob says that he's pretty intrigued by the idea of maybe running in the Whitney with Arrogate, and if he ran in the Whitney, then you'd have Arrogate and Gunrunner, who just won at Churchill, Stephen Foster over a couple weekends ago, and they're the 2 top older horses in the country, and you'd have them running in the Whitney. A lot of people were thinking that matchup wouldn't come until the Breeders' Cup. I mean, those 2 ran against each other in Dubai, 1-2, and it's an interesting thing to kick around. Myself, I don't think Arrogate will come here, but the fact that Baffert is still thinking about it, and Mike Smith, the jockey, he kind of thinks that he wants Saratoga to be in the mix for Arrogate too. So who knows? It all depends on how the horse works. And he worked great the other day, which would lead me to believe he's going to keep him in California.
Tim Wilkin of the Times-Union with us here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio. Timmy, it's great to hear your voice, my man. Haven't seen you in a while. Look forward to it when we do up in Saratoga. Because there isn't an American Pharoah, because there wasn't a Triple Crown threat this year at Belmont, do you expect there to be any less juice going into the Saratoga season, or is there more because maybe the 3-year-old field is something of a level playing field?
I think there's always a juice going into Saratoga. I mean, last year we had kind of the same thing with Triple Crown, and I think there were 3. That was the year that Nyquist, Exaggerator, and Creator were the 3 different winners of the Triple Crown races, and there was still juice going into the Travers because Exaggerator and Creator both ran it. Saratoga's always going to create its own juice. I don't think that. I think if you had Roger Weiland running against Jim Cambrick in a match race on opening day, people would come out and watch that.
That ought to be interesting right there.
Like the jockey foot race. That thing I always look forward to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, why not? Well, Chris will get you in the foot race too.
Hey, Tim, I got one question for you. I mean, last year we know that Chad Brown broke through and won that training title, and I would assume he wants to continue to do that. And here, Pletcher has obviously had a phenomenal season here, and what he's done in the Triple Crown, that should be a great showdown and rematch in Saratoga.
It should be. I mean, Chad Brown, it's not like that was a fluke what happened last year. I mean, he's been knocking the door since the start of the meet for years, finishing second, I think it was about 5 straight years. And he's got, not just grass horses anymore. He's got good dirt horses. And, when Pletcher was talking the day after the Belmont, was talking about the Saratoga meet, and he came right out and said the same thing he said last year, that he said Chad Brown is like 3 to 5 to win the Saratoga meet again, because his barn is just so strong in all different divisions now. And for Todd to have a good meet, his 2-year-olds have to run well. And he doesn't run a lot of horses on the grass. And for his success, it's in the big races and in the 2-year-old races. I mean, if his 2-year-olds aren't any good, Todd Pletcher isn't going to have a great meet, but his 2-year-olds are usually pretty good.
Looking forward to it, Tim. 3 weeks from Friday, we start the Saratoga meet, and I know we'll see you up there quite a bit, as always. Coverage in the Times-Union, and we'll have plenty of coverage right here on 104.5 at Team ESPN Radio as well. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, guys.